All right. Good evening, everyone. Joe Carullo at Carullo's Corner at it'sallaboutScores.com. A little bittersweet episode tonight. This is episode 14, the final episode of the Mike Wilson Show for the 2024 season. Mike, give us one final hello before we get started.
Hello, everyone.
All right, Mike, great to have you back here. This will be their last episode of the season, but we're going to cover a couple different things. Season didn't end the way you guys wanted it to. Just tell us a little bit about the game. I'll give you my thoughts.
Glassboro is pretty darn good. And we didn't help ourselves, but I mean, since the last time we played them, they're just completely putting a lot of points on people. We didn't help ourselves, and we played good in spurts, but definitely not overall. Kudos to them. But that's a darn good football team.
Yeah, they are. And you've played Cedar Grove earlier this year. They're going to meet Cedar Grove in the Group 1 state final, I believe, Friday night. If I'm not
Friday
mistaken.
at 5, yes.
Friday at 5. What's your thoughts on that?
You know what? Somebody was asking me this today. I'll say this. Cedar Grove and Glassboro are two best football teams I've seen in a long time. Wow. And Cedar Grove has one thing that's unique. They don't do what they do, nobody else does. Joe, they are no huddle. The quarterback has 40 touchdown passes this year. 40.
Oh, my God.
3,500 yards of passing offense in 13 games. If they can pass protect, they're going to be in good shape. They're just well-coached, old machine, and Glassboro has athletes everywhere. So it's definitely an interesting matchup. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Can you pick a winner, or is that too tough to tell?
I'll be honest with you. It could go either way. I mean, I can outline paths to victory for both teams. But it's going to be a great football game. I mean, you got two really good, well-coached football teams. It's going to be a great game.
I'm going to ask you just that. I'm going to put you on the spot. You're the Glassboro coach. What do you need to do to beat Cedar Grove?
Get pressure on the quarterback.
Pressure on the quarterback.
If you let that kid sit in the pocket, he'll pick you apart all day long.
Right. How about offensively? What does Cedar Grove need to do to Glassboro's defense?
They got to pass protect. If they give their quarterback time, they'll have open receivers. Just because of what they run is so unique, right, and you can't replicate it in practice. So, and be the defensive guy, and that was our plan. We threw a lot. We threw the kitchen sink at Cedar Grove, and they picked up everything,
every utensil, every dish.
Yeah, and I mean, like. They run perfect routes. They get open. Their quarterback is as accurate as can be. I think his stats show. I mean, 40 touchdowns. He only had, what I think I looked up tonight, 7 interceptions all year.
Wow. Yeah. Again, down here in South Jersey, we don't get much coverage on North Jersey. I did see them against you guys. I was impressed. Going to flip the coin a little bit. You're the Cedar Grove coach. You're on defense. What do you do to stop this powerful Glassboro offense?
No big plays. Line up right. Make them drive the field.
Gotcha. And how about for the Glassboro? We just said the Glassboro defense. What your Cedar Grove on offense? What do you need to do?
Well, I mean, if I'm on offense for Cedar Grove, just pass protect and let my quarterback do his thing.
And it's going to come down to those simple things that you just mentioned for both teams.
And then it becomes a special teams game where you got to get a kick. Cedar Grove's kicker is very good. Every kickoff will be in the end zone. He has a leg to kick a 40-plus yard field goal.
Wow.
So, and Glassboro hasn't punted in over a month.
Well, I'm go ahead. Finish what you're saying. I have something to add to this.
Yeah, I mean, so like if you get them to punt, I mean, to bring up their last years with Mountain Lakes, I think Mountain Lakes blocked 1 or 2 punts last year. Right. So, I mean, again, I think it might come down to special teams. I mean, they're evenly matched in different ways. It's a unique game, Joe. I mean, you got two contracts and styles of play. You got very good athletes on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a good game. I'm gonna watch it, even though it's going to be hard to watch, but it's going to watch.
I think I might be watching that one as well. I'm going to get to the other game Friday in a minute. Moving up to Group 4, I was going to interrupt you there.
Yeah.
Winslow Millville Saturday, a great game. One of the greatest crowds I've seen at a high school football game. As you know, the game was on Saturday.
Yes.
This was a Saturday crowd. This was a Saturday game with a Friday night crowd. It was huge. The fences were 3 or 4 deep. It shattered that motto that, okay, you need Friday night lights to draw a crowd. That saying was shattered Saturday afternoon. Let me say that.
It helps in the playoff game, but yes.
I've always said If the game is good and your team is winning, people will show up 2 in the morning. Doesn't matter when you're playing. I will stick to that. Anyway, I just had to throw that in there for personal reasons. But anyway, you had these two great teams, very similar in style. And at the end, you know what the game came down to? And I was getting to, you talk about special teams. I'm talking about plays. Millville intercepted a pass close to the end zone. I'd say on the 3-yard line. One play later, they fumbled the ball. This is a tie game now. You give Winslow the ball on the 3, you might as well just let him have the touchdown. A play later, they scored the game-winning touchdown. Missed the extra point, but that was it. So this Cedar Grove-Glassboro game could come down to something like that. Just some mistake.
Yes.
That some great team makes. And Millville, you know, they're as awesome as anybody. They made that one fatal mistake, and you cannot do that against a Winslow team like this.
Nope, not on that level.
And I don't know anything about Phillipsburg. I know there's huge tradition there. I'm predicting a big Winslow win. They're impressive. They're impressive.
Yes, they are.
Go to Group 5 for a minute. You know anything about Union City?
I know they have a great tradition.
Yeah, well, they play Toms River North. Union City beat East Orange in the state North semifinal, 42-0. It's a big deal. This team might give Toms River North a run for their money.
I don't know anything about them besides I know they have really, really good football tradition.
Yeah, well, I mean, Toms River in the last 2 weeks, they struggled against RV, and I think Township gave them a fight. So they showed that they're human. Doesn't mean they're going to lose, but I think they're facing a formidable opponent in Union City. Moving down to Group 2, Mike Rumson and Shabazz, 2 teams out of our area. Both a lot of tradition, both perennial power. Any thoughts on that? If you know about any of these teams?
I mean, I've seen Shabazz on film because they played Cedar Grove and stuff like that. Very athletic. They remind me of Glassboro. That Shabazz and Rumson is they're just been doing what they do for years. So that's a good game. Yeah,
they've been there every year. Getting to Group 3. Happened to be there Friday night. Mainland Somerville game.
Crazy to watch that TV. Insane game.
It was probably the best game I saw all year, and I've seen a couple good ones. It was amazing. I said a couple weeks ago, there's certain teams in South Jersey, certain programs, I'll say, that are playing with so much poise right now. You know, Millville, Winslow, Holy Spirit, and Mainland. Mainland's just at the top of their game right now. I knew the Somerville team was going to be tough. Not surprised at how close it was. There was a questionable penalty that should have ended the game. There was a pass interference play called on Mainland in the end zone for the last play of the regulation. I'm not one to criticize the officials, but it was a horrible call. I even saw pictures of it later. A very bad call. And, you know, God forgive me, I'm not one to criticize officials, but that was worth criticizing. Anyway, in overtime, as you know, Somerville scored easily, kicks the extra point. Mainland came back to score, goes for 2, and you can just feel the heart. You know, I think everybody's heartbeat was a little faster. And, you know, kudos to Chuck. Go for 2, and they did it. And all you see was a sea of white and green throughout the field. It was great.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Knowing Chuck and knowing the flow of the game, going for 2 there did not surprise me at all.
Yeah, it was amazing. Moving on to their state game against Old Tapan, another team with great tradition. They beat Delsey 2 years ago for the state title.
Yes.
So this is a program. Excuse me. This is a program that we're reckoning with. Do you know anything about this current team other than that they're 11-1 and they avenged their only defeat last week against Pascack Valley?
All I know is tradition. They beat Delsey 2 years ago, so it really should be another good game. I think we're going to have a lot of good state games.
Yeah, I think they all. I'd like to at least be able to watch. I would like to watch all of them. They all sound interesting. Heading in looking back at your season. My opinion, I think you had a very good season. I know you fell short of your ultimate goal, but that should not take away how good you guys did this year. You know,
well, you sit back a week after now and you look at big picture. We played arguably one of the toughest schedules. I mean, 2 of the teams we played are playing in the finals.
They're your only losses, by the way.
Yeah, so
no shame.
Yeah, no shame there. I mean, this senior group has won 30 games. They have a winning record in the playoffs. They won 4 playoff games in their career. So kudos to our seniors who bought in, changed the culture of the place. I mean, again, we fell short of sectional. I mean, we got thrown in Glassboro. Glassboro is just good. But big picture, we did a lot of good things over the last couple of years.
And you have. I've been there with you since the beginning. I saw how you started out in 2020.
Yes.
Excuse me. The turnaround has been nothing short of phenomenal. You guys have done a great job from inheriting, let's face it, a team that was in peril 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, again, we look back on it from the growth of the program. It might mean just from having 20 kids in uniform to having close to 70. We're playing 3 levels of football. Our freshman team went 7-1 this year. Our JV team went 5-2. Varsity went 8-4. And we have a lot of kids coming back next year. I know we were senior heavy this year, but just looking at it right now, early projections, there's 7 starters on defense coming back, and there's 6 starters on offense coming back. So, we're not looking at next year's rebuild at all. It's a retool year, and we expect to be in the mix once again.
I was going to ask you that. Looking at the next couple of years, what do you guys think? To me, it sounds like you're. And I'm going to give you a huge compliment here. A lot of people will ask at the beginning of the year, "How's this team going to do? How's that team going to do?" A lot of times, I'll answer that their program is in a position where it can compete every year. I think you're there now.
That's our goal, Joe. That's my goal. That's always been my goal. Like the first 5 years, build the program. The next 5 years, stabilize the program. And in all honesty, and I tell people this all the time, I expect to be in the conversation every year. Now, you're not going to win it every year, but
right.
We want to be in the playoffs every year, but not just be in the playoffs. We want to be in that sectional final or further every year. I told the kids, I want a Thanksgiving Day practice because that means you're still playing. Right. But again, something I coached with Chuck all those years, and what Mainland does is that even though you're playing to win now, you're doing things behind the scenes that you don't have a big drop off from year to year. And I think you see that with Mainland this year, and hopefully you see that with next year we graduate some really good seniors, kids who really did a good job for us, bought into the program, did everything we asked them to do. But again, we're looking at the roster now. We have 50 10th through 12th graders coming back. And we have starters. We have 7 on defense coming back, and we have 6 on offense coming back. So we're setting up and we got kids with a lot of playing experience. So we expect to be right back in the conversation next year. When we need a good offseason, the kids got to do what they're supposed to do. But there's no reason why we're not in the conversation again.
And I think you will be. Like I said, I'm listening to everything you're saying, and you're in the right direction. Now, I can't predict what's going to happen next year or the year after, but I think you're going to do well. I would bet on that safely. But if you had to compare, next year, okay, this was their team, this senior class, the class coming up, this is going to be their team. How do they differ from this senior? What are the differences? They're going to have a new identity. Everybody does.
Well, the biggest difference is these kids did not have to play varsity football their freshman year.
Right.
So this is the first group that played freshman football for us. And a lot of them played as sophomores. A few played as freshmen. We brought them up late in the year. But again, we have probably half a dozen kids with 3-year varsity letters in this group. A lot of them are 2-year starters or at least played one side of the ball. Our sophomore class, we got sophomores on the field this year. So we got a lot of kids, even though some positions might change or move, we're not going to have many first-year starters on the field. A lot of our kids have played varsity football already, and I think that's a big deal. We're not going to have any seniors with sophomore experience, and that was always my biggest goal when we built depth. We have little rules on the team. We don't let a senior back up a senior, Joe. So our backups are underclassmen for this reason, and we make sure that we kick kids on special teams. We rotate them. This way, we're building depth to win now,
right,
and to win later.
And I like what I'm hearing here. And I kind of knew when you took over, you were so realistic 4 years ago, knowing that first year was going to be rough. And you kind of told me you really foresaw the success of this team. You knew year 2 was going to be better. And you kind of, at that point in 21, I believe I saw the direction you were going in. And then last year to the sectional final, maybe even a year sooner than you thought. I don't know, but things are going just as you had foreseen. And I think they're going to continue to go that way. Like I said, you're a program that's in a spot where it can contend every year. And programs like that do win championships in those years.
Well, the thing is, I think you're using the right word. We're a program. We didn't want to build a team. We didn't want to have lightning in a bottle. We want to build a program where we're competitive every year. Where, you might have a down year.
It happens.
Down year, 6 wins, we're still in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? we want to be in that conversation every year where there's not a huge drop off. And I think if we continue on the path that we're doing, and the kids are doing a great job, coaching staff does a great job, and if we continue to do that, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, talk about that. Your youth programs. What's the word on your youth program? That's where it really all starts. Everybody knows.
I mean, Freddie Allen runs our youth program. He's actually the uncle of Reggie Allen, who was a key player for us over the last 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Freddie does a great job. We got 4 levels of football. We have close to 100 kids playing football at Pittsgrove. Our senior team was in the championship game this year.
Okay.
We got a lot of kids playing football, but with us playing freshman football, we get a lot of kids that play for the first time because of that freshman program. So we're able to keep our numbers up. If we can get 15 to 20 freshmen every year where we don't have to play freshman or varsity, and we can keep in that 45 to 55 range of the varsity, we're in good shape because now we have the depth for injuries. But we also have the depth to grow the program too, where we can build that talent and we can develop our own players. Like a lot of our players are homegrown, like seniors this year, like Alec Bramble, Riley Papiano. Those kids, when you met them their freshman year, you would never guess they would have been starting linebackers their senior year, and Riley finished the year with 108 tackles. Awesome. Like you would never known that when you first met them, but they bought into the weight room, they bought into all that stuff, and we're playing good football, which is high school football players that we're developing our own players.
All right, that's awesome, and yeah, that's especially for a Group 1 school. I mean, for you to get those numbers, I'm listening to these numbers you're giving me. That's for Group 1. It's hard. The numbers game is the issue, and it sounds like you're holding that one.
Well, I mean, I'm going to give the school a prop right now. So we have 575 kids in the school.
Okay, that's all 4 grades, right? Okay.
Yeah, 4 grades. So 500. Yeah, say 600 in the whole school. 241 kids played a fall sport this year.
That is really good. So
it's just not football. Like, yeah, football numbers are good, but everybody's numbers are up. Like we got our kids.
I like it. Yeah, it's great. It's a great thing. Moving along before we go, the rest of South Jersey. What do you? I mean, I guess we already know what your off season is going to be like. You're going to be in the weight room. You're going to be preparing. I know it's the same schedule as last year, so there's a lot. Which film you need to watch. As far as the rest of the area goes, what's your take on the future of South Jersey football just for next year?
I think it's exciting. I mean, I think again, I love the state championships. We're seeing teams who don't play each other historically playing each other. Yeah. I think that's great. I mean, mainly playing Somerville, Otapin, like Phillipsburg. Like, I think that's great. I mean, like, it's connecting the state. High school football in New Jersey, I think, is very undervalued nationwide. We have good football. And I think it's showing.
And look how many people have gone pro in our area.
A lot.
We're represented very well.
Yeah, we are. I mean, you just watched Sunday yesterday, watching Bill Melton play and stuff like that. So, I mean, again, I'm excited. I think high school football in New Jersey is just growing. And then with now having the state brackets, is even better.
Yeah, I think we're in a very good place. I'd like to see some improvement in some places. Number one, I would love to see the state semifinals at a neutral field again. Excuse me. I think that was a great idea, and it cuts down on travel. But you have to find a place that wants to do that. And I know some schools had issue with it, so the state just went back to the top seed. I also would like to see, and we discussed this on 2 different shows, something in November for these teams that don't make the playoffs that want to play Thanksgiving. They have a whole month to do nothing. I believe a team like Vineland and Clayton, I'm trying to think, and a couple other teams, they haven't played in like 3.5 weeks, and they have a game this week.
Yeah, I think
something's got to be done there.
I think eventually they will. I just think it's a growing pains of transitioning to a state bracket system where we're playing to a full state champion and trying to balance with the Thanksgiving traditions. Because there's one thing, and I don't blame them. Some schools don't want to give them up, and I don't blame them. They've been playing.
No, I don't either. I like it. I like it. It just again, we want our cake and eat it too. And we got to find a way to have a little piece of that cake. And
yes.
Yeah, like I said, you said it's growing pains, and I think in the years to come, maybe we'll get something because some people are unhappy waiting around 3 weeks. They can't find a consolation game, or they just get one. We discussed this before. We know what the problems are. Moving forward to next year's battle at the beach. Got some information today, which I cannot talk about here because nothing's official yet. I just know this year's could be really big. It could be a who's who of high school football.
Awesome.
I'll leave it at that. I was talking to somebody of importance today, and kind of hinted at some things that are in the works right now, but they're only in the works.
Correct.
Stuff could fall through, and I don't want to be the guy that starts rumors. We don't have rumors on Carollo's Corner here, just facts. So
just facts, right?
I want to let everybody out there know that's listening. This could be good. This could be a really great event to kick off the year. Some more out-of-state teams, hopefully, which would be great to see. Our best against their best.
Absolutely.
I love it. Anytime it's us against them, man, I love it. It just gets me going. I love it. Great thing. Mike, anything else before we go?
No, just thank you. Thank everybody who's been listening. And let's get back to football season, and hopefully the off season goes fast.
Yes. All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for listening. Again, this is Joe Carollo at Carollo's Corner, and it's allaboutScores.com. This was episode 14, the final Mike Wilson show of the year. Mike, we're going to be doing this again next mid-August. We'll do our
Mid-August sounds good, Joe.
Season 2, and best of luck to you during the off season.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a great evening.
All right. Bye-bye.